to be fully seated. All right. I believe that we are all here. Are you ready to?
All good.
Okay, then I would here bring to order this zoning commission meeting scheduled for Tuesday, August 26th at 6:30 p.m. We are here to hear zoning application ZON-25-04. Can we please have roll called?
Mr. McNulty?
Here.
Mr. Bellis?
Here.
Mr. Pierce?
Here.
Mr. Vadanula?
Here.
Ms. Sundar?
Here. Okay, the commission is present and accounted for. Like I said earlier, we're here to hear the zoning application ZON-25-04 by the Bondada Technologies Corp. On North Road. I believe the planning staff has prepared a review of the project. Robin, can you lead us through that in your staff report?
I can, Mr. Bellis, thank you. So we are here to discuss rezoning case ZON-25-04, otherwise known as Bondada Parktown. Because this is a continuation from a previous meeting, I'm mostly going to focus on the changes from the previous version rather than go through the entire application from its inception. But if the commission would like any clarification on any items, please let me know. So just a brief summary, the applicant is requesting to rezone approximately just over 9 acres from Farm Residential District, or FR1, to the planned commercial and office district to allow for the construction of 10 buildings with 74 residential units on commercial space. Those numbers did change from the previous submittal, so that is to allow for some green space between the buildings, so it's increased to 10 buildings and 74 residential units total. On the following page of the staff report, if you don't mind scrolling down, please, you can see the updated development plan provided by the applicant there. Again, I'll just run through the major points and differences from the previous version. So this is a mixed-use development. They are requesting a rezoning to planned commercial and office district with a divergence to allow for residential uses. The total number of residential units is listed as 74. That is an increase of 4 from the previous submittal. Previous version also contained a breakdown of the number of bedrooms and unit types along with their square footage. However, we did not see that in the current version of the application. Again, total of 10 buildings on the site plan. Again, don't have the square footage on each of them or labeling, although the applicant did provide sample floor plans and some renderings of the exteriors of the buildings. Building 1 is indicated as an office building in the exterior elevations. Building 2 is indicated as a community building in the exterior elevations. Floor plans do show a restaurant, public commons, a resident gym, and indoor pickleball for that building. Buildings 3A and 3B, and then 4A and 4B are indicated as mixed use in the exterior elevations. I believe the intent is to have commercial on the ground floor and then dwelling units above those. Buildings 5A and 5B are indicated as condos in the exterior elevations. And buildings 6A and 6B are indicated as townhomes in the exterior elevations. Moving on, in terms of open space and landscaping, one of the things that we requested from the previous version was precise lot coverage requirements to demonstrate compliance with the lot coverage. The applicant has provided those figures with 55.49% impervious surface coverage post-construction, which does comply with the zoning requirements. Landscape plan was also updated from the previous version, which increased the total number of plantings throughout the site, so that brings the total of trees to be planted to 235. The setbacks, that was one of the items that we requested from the previous version, just clarification and showing the distance from the buildings to the property lines. So the updated site plan shows a 50-foot building setback from North Road, 100-foot building setback from the property to the north, 30 feet building setback to the west, which borders the railroad, and then 100-foot building setback to the FR1 properties to the south. And we do note that all of those setbacks provided do comply with the setback requirements from the zoning resolution. Previously, some divergences were requested for the setbacks, but those have been rectified and the divergence requests have been approved. In terms of parking, those numbers were also updated. Divergence was requested for the number of parking spaces. The applicant calculated the number of required spaces, and I'll run through these quickly, but the grand total was 336 spaces that the applicant calculated as required. That'd be residential at 2 per unit, retail 1 per 265 square feet, office 1 per 300 square feet, restaurant 1 per 100 square feet, and public commons 1 per 100 square feet. Again, the applicant's calculation was 336 spaces. The calculations under the current zoning resolution of Orange Township, staff calculated to be 386 plus an unknown number of spaces for the retail and restaurant employees, because those calculations are based both on square footage, the number of seats in a restaurant, and the number of employees in those establishments. And the site plan showed the total number of provided parking spaces was 274. Lighting, the plan was slightly updated to reflect the changes in the site plan, but the lighting plan did appear to comply with all requirements of section 21.12 of the zoning resolution, which has to do with lighting. For signage, one of our comments last time was that there appeared to be 2 freestanding monument signs along the North Road frontage, and one of those signs has been removed per staff comments, so now only 1 freestanding sign was shown. We still didn't see any building-mounted signage or wayfinding signage, and flagged those things as items that the applicant may want to consider adding. For architectural standards, there was really not a lot of changes, just some slight tweaks to the buildings as they were presented, but the textual requirements did not change. For access and connectivity, the nuts and bolts of it really didn't change. Right in, right out entrance on North Road shown at the southern portion of the site, and then full access on North Road at the northern portion of the site, both of which mirror the entrances to the North Road Park on the west side of the road. They did include a traffic impact study in the updated submittal, and the conclusions of that study showed that a southbound left turn lane would be warranted on North Road, and a northbound right turn lane on North Road would be warranted. And again, the internal drives would be private, however the site layout would need to be approved by the Orange Township Fire Department. And then a multi-use path of unmarked width was included along some of the North Road frontage. That was one of the comments from the last go-round from the Orange Township Operations Department, which requested a multi-use path along North Road. So moving on, so the total number of divergences is now 2, and those have been requested by the applicant along with provided justification. The first divergence is from section 14.05F to allow residential uses in the planned commercial district. And then the second, section 21.01F for revision of off-street parking requirements. Additional staff comments that we had, one of the things that we requested last time was to provide letters from the utility providers. Those were included with the updated submittal. Building elevations should show the maximum height of the building to the top of the roof line on all elevations. For some of the buildings this was shown, but not for all the buildings. We do recommend that the applicant provide a site plan that clearly labels all the buildings and uses. It seems like maybe that was just an oversight, because that was included with the previous submittal, but not this one. And we still do recommend the consideration of a pedestrian facility to cross North Road, either by a hawk signal or an RRFB, which is the rectangular flashing beacons, which you can find on Orange Road right outside our building here. And then the one other note that we had, the applicant did include a zoning map of Orange Township in their packet. We just want to note that that is not an accurate zoning map of Orange Township. For technical review, the fire department, again, has had preliminary conversations with the applicant, but has not reviewed or approved the site plan. Their approval would need to be secured prior to approval of the rezoning by the Board of Township Trustees. Operations Department did not have any additional comments except for the multi-use path along the North Road frontage. As for the Delaware County Regional Planning Commission, they voted to recommend denial of the application at their meeting on July 31st, based primarily on the intensity of the proposed residential density and the location of non-residential uses, both of which are in conflict with the comprehensive plan. The full version of RPC's staff comments has been provided to the Zoning Commission in a separate document. I didn't rehash them in this report because they cover a good deal of the same things, but they are available for viewing if you would like to see them. We do note that the applicant has updated their plans since that meeting, but and this is me editorializing, some of those issues still remain. This time I have nothing further unless the commission has additional questions.
Do any members of the commission have any questions?
Not at this moment.
I just have one of the initial question when you noted that that the applicant has updated their plans since the July 31st RBC meeting, but I noticed you look as if that may or may not be true. Can you provide any quick response to that? Did you respond to everything that was there, or believe you did?
Yes, I can respond to that. This question for, do I have to raise my hand?
Well, I was actually going to say, do you have any questions for Robin?
Oh, for Robin. Okay. I have no questions for Robin. Robin's comment made me come up with a question. but-
Okay,
I actually have a couple. What is the building height for all those buildings?
can we maybe close up
Robin's
Robin's
stuff.
and then have the applicant?
All right.
So that's my first question, so be prepared to answer that question, okay?
My only question to Robin is, for the planning commission that denied this application.
Regional plan.
Regional
Regional
planning.
plan.
Yes, they voted to recommend denial.
It was solely based on the intensity of residential use.
I'd say that's the majority of their comments, yes. They had more comments that were a little more thoughtful than that, but I pulled their direct quote from their staff comments based primarily on the intensity of the proposed residential density and the location of the non-residential uses.
Okay,
Those are their words, not mine.
all right. And then I have a question for you, Robin, before we move on. The comprehensive plan
Yes.
that the zoning or the regional planning said wasn't quite, was in conflict with. What does our comprehensive plan for Orange Township have for this area?
Thank you, Mr. Bellis. That's an excellent question. So the Orange Township Comprehensive Plan does show this property to be within sub-area 13. The parcel in question is marked as single-family on the future land use map, so I think that's the overarching recommendation. There were some sub-recommendations for that sub-area, and I think you can find some things that are in favor of this type of development and some that are against. Recommendation 13-3 recommends that the balance of this sub-area should be large lot, single-family residential, 1 acre lots without sanitary sewer, 2 units per acre with sanitary sewer. But recommendation 13-5 states reuse and infill development could include a low-impact mix of uses, which is primarily residential or light commercial. Infill structures should maintain the same character of existing buildings, including setbacks and massing.
Okay. All right, thank you. I just wanted that to be clear if the regional planning was basing their recommendation on that. So at this point, what I'd like to do is have the applicant do their presentation. If the commission has any questions for the applicant, we can do that. And then I would like to open the floor to public comment. I'd like to remind, when we do open to the floor to public comment, please keep it short and sweet, brief, 5 minutes. If your neighbor said the exact same thing, just say ditto. The other thing is, anytime you come before the podium to speak, please state your name and address for the public record, because all of this is going to go to the trustees when they review the hearing. All right, so at this point, if the applicant, if you want to do your presentation, let us know how this has changed, how you've incorporated our previous meeting and Robin's comments to try to revise this application.
Great, thank you. My name is Matthew Teisman with MKC Architects, 6611 Hillmar Court, Westerville, Ohio, 43082. Appreciate the time and opportunity to speak. I will keep my remarks shorter than last time because I'm going to be focusing mostly on the revisions, and I will try to avoid any that Robin already addressed. Thank you, Robin, for going through and being diligent with our review, and I apologize for some of those minor labeling items, and we'll make sure to rectify them in the future. What I'd like to do is actually discuss the reasons for the changes rather than what Robin is stating are the changes themselves. The mixed-use buildings and the condominiums and townhouses have been split into two smaller buildings. This breaks down the massing and encourages a more residential scale within the overall development. This reduction is a direct response to commissioners' comments at the last zoning hearing where it was discussed not to have really large apartment buildings that kind of extended and were long, so we broke up the massing. That just from geometry and mathematics has resulted in a few extra units. We're not trying to pull a fast one, and we're happy to revise the floor plans to get down to the original application. As initially indicated by the zoning commission last time, all buildings do now adhere to the correct property setbacks. Robin mentioned those before, but this revision did slightly affect the positioning of the buildings and drives throughout the development. The most notable change occurred at the southeast parking lot, which actually allowed for an interstitial green space to split up the large massive parking. So we now have more green space than before. In addition to this interstitial green space, landscape buffering has been provided more thoroughly throughout the site. And of course, most notably, the north, east, and south property borders are to be lined with a variety of native spruce trees to improve privacy and promote a more private community within the development. This again is a direct response to the concerns from neighbors and lines of sight and buffering. To the east, there will also be a fence line installed parallel to the planted spruce trees to promote additional screening from the railroad tracks and ultimately discourage resident access. That'll be the standard 6-foot privacy fence. The townhouses also now have their own fenced-in yards, giving each resident a greater sense of ownership and privacy, all in response to Commissioner's comments last time. The community building footprint actually decreased as a result of narrowing the site, so reducing the overall square footage. These revisions also reduced the overall building height. So the building, I think we're calling it Community Building 1, it has been reduced from what was proposed as 33 feet 11 to 27 feet 3. That is almost 8 feet below the 35 feet required maximum. The second floor dining mezzanine has also been changed to a ground level patio by the retention pond, which was also a recommendation of the commissioners, which allows for improved accessibility to restaurant customers. Accessible bike and walking paths have been added to the front and the rear of the property. These paths provide access to North Road Park and beyond, and a pedestrian crosswalk signal is proposed from the development to the park, allowing for increased walkability and safety, but I apologize, Robin, if that was not clearly indicated in the drawings. Site lighting has been revised, as was indicated, to illuminate all walking paths, in particular in the public green spaces, which will allow for increased safety and accessibility after dark, responding to the commissioner's comments. Commercial loading zones will be provided near the restaurant and retail spaces, and all recurring deliveries will be encouraged to use smaller box trucks to limit noise and fire lane obstruction. In addition to this loading zone proximity, all main drives have been increased to 26 feet to accommodate for sufficient fire lane access, and the widened drives still allow for 9 feet by 20 feet parking spaces throughout the development. Refuse collection has been revised to include trash compactors to the northeast corner of the site. This will potentially allow for reduced dumpster enclosures throughout the development. Dumpster enclosures will still be provided where necessary. And a few more items, I'll wrap up. Leasable retail spaces will be provided with access to storefront and projecting signage following approval from the zoning commission. The signage will allow for better wayfinding and accessible legibility to pedestrians and customers. I think we've indicated areas for those on the elevations, but we have not indicated the exact design of the signs yet. And I'm not sure if that needs to be part of the rezoning application or a future signage zoning application if this is approved. And then lastly, the development text has been revised to reflect these changes. So brief bullet points, we've split up the building masses, we revised site and building layouts according to property setbacks, we provided additional landscape buffers and fencing, we provided additional green space and landscape buffering to the southeast, reduced community building footprint and overall height, provided an outdoor ground level dining patio, provided resident bike access at the front of the property, revised site lighting and illuminated all walking paths and green spaces, provided commercial loading zones, and we've also widened the drives to 26 feet. We provided additional refuse collection, provided access for retail signage, we revised the development text, and we've included some of the items that Robin was mentioning. I guess I can just answer two of the questions that came up at the beginning. My understanding of the process was when we submitted the zoning application last time, I think it gets automatically submitted to Delaware Planning Commission, and they reviewed the last submission that was brought forth in front of the commission a few months ago. During those 2 months, we have made revisions, and we attempted to also make revisions to this planning development based on the Regional Planning Commission comments as well. I would say that generally speaking, regional planning had very similar comments that were expressed by the public last time and some of the zoning commissioners, and we've tried to address that and enhance the quality of the development. Regarding building height, again, I thought they were all marked in here. No building is greater than 35 feet in the development, so we're not requesting a divergence from the building height requirement, which is the farm zoning as well as the planned commercial district. Thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to your feedback.
All right. If the commission members have questions for the applicant, now's the time to ask.
Yeah, I have a quick question. I just want to refresh my memory. The last time you were here, and maybe you just already clarified that, but the last time you were here, one of the things we said was because the regional planning hadn't reviewed it, we thought that you should go back, but it appears also that many of our comments during that time you have addressed and you pointed those out. I just want to make sure I understand that correctly, right? It wasn't reviewed previously.
That is correct.
The last time you were here. Okay,
Correct.
yeah, I remember now. Okay. All right, well, thank you for responding.
Well, the one thing that, as you're looking through this and you wanted to change the parking, I am also not a big fan of huge parking lots, but it seems that you may have cut this too short with respect to the quantity of employees for the commercial portions. And here's the other thing I'm going to add to this is that the reason the comprehensive plan exists, it exists so for the future. It exists to look ahead for the next 50 years, long past when things are going to be redeveloped and redone, that here we put it in place for a long period. So I believe, I can't speak for all these people, but at least one of mine, is that once you introduce commercial to this, and if other things start to be developed in the area, then all of a sudden it's not residential anymore. The comprehensive plan's out the window, and now you have commercial here, which you've already okayed. So typically for that reason is probably why I'm going to be a no. I think your design is excellent. I think you've done a great job with that, but in my opinion, it needs to be in some other area of Orange Township.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
If we were to remove the commercial aspect from this, we certainly lose some of the benefits of mixed-use development, which I think is encouraged by both the Regional Planning Commission's comprehensive plan as well as Orange Township and some of the moves to rework the zoning code. Would it be looked more favorably as a multifamily only, let me rephrase that, residential only development?
It would be more favorable as any kind of residential development for this area of Orange Township. Absolutely. It's adding the commercial to this, which all of a sudden opens up everything to potentially commercial for the future.
Now, just as a general reminder, he's speaking for himself.
Understood.
Are you
Okay.
set?
Yeah, because Orange Township cannot recommend a design or, even suggest anything. We are here to just validate your facts, your ideas, whatever you present to us. So just to make a note,
Understood.
yeah, like that's his own opinion. We cannot suggest at any point of time.
Understood, thank you.
Thank you.
Dennis?
I'm good.
Thank you. Anybody else down here?
Yeah, is there a specific commercial aspect to it, as in what kind of commercial? And is, again, a question to Robin, is there a way, as a follow-up to that, is there a way to, I don't know if you have done this at Evans Parks or not, Evans Farms or not, whether the commercial has to align with the residential use, as in, a laundry or a laundromat or a pizza shop are fine because that are used by residents, whereas residential used commercial versus other commercial. I don't know that, so that's why I'm asking. But also your comments on what is the expected commercial here, yeah.
Sure, I can jump in. So the applicant has requested rezoning to a planned commercial district, and basically went through the permitted uses in planned commercial and said we will comply. The planned commercial does have a pretty broad set of commercial allowed businesses, so almost anything that is considered commercial would be permitted, you know, and it's possible that, because it's a planned district, that set of uses could be narrowed further, but as it stands, it's fairly broad.
Okay.
And happy to respond to that. It's an excellent question, and that's part of why this is proposed as a mixed use. The intent is that while these, whether it be retail, like an ice cream shop or a coffee shop or a barber, or in the larger community building, which has more community-focused spaces such as a restaurant or like a athletic, like a gym, you know, that type of thing, a workout space, let's say. Those are intended to be used by the entire community, but also are specifically focused for the residents themselves. One of the comments we've received, you know, during this process is traffic, and this is why mixed-use development is encouraged, in particular in areas such as Genoa Township, Berkshire Township, Orange Township, that traditionally have not had it and tend to have traffic problems. And so this is intended to help ameliorate some of that, and also would encourage like a healthier lifestyle for residents and encourage walking and so on.
Yeah, it's proximity to Evans Farm and what's happening there. I think it's, from my perspective, is in a general area that they shouldn't just be able to have all the commercial hanging out at their space. I mean, I like the design. I appreciate you responding to our concerns last time. So, I like the plan. I like the way it's laid out, but the proximity just of what's around the corner makes sense to me from saying, hey, this is a decent plan.
So I have a question for Robin, since you were talking about the types of commercial uses. Based on our commercial code, I'm interpreting that the commercial uses here could also be automobile related. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So that you could potentially have, I don't want to use the term a quickie mart, but, or fast food or gas station or something like that, based on the way this text is written, correct?
So the relevant passage from the plain commercial text is 14.03C. Commercial establishments normally associated with and intended to service the traveling public with service stations, restaurants, travel trailer parks for overnight parking, or any other allied activity.
Okay, and that provision would have me very concerned. It would go totally against what you are asking for in terms of mixed use. If we open up, and this is where Dennis' comment comes in, if we open up this area to any commercial use, that means we could get a gas station, a Quickie Mart, McDonald's, or you name it, which, in my opinion, is not suitable for this area. So,
Mr. Chair, may I respond?
feel free.
I don't know if this is the right question or not, but is it possible, because this is a planned commercial district, to provide a limitation that commercial is limited as part of this development to encourage mixed use, but may not include X, Y, and Z, or certain aspects of the zoning ordinance? Is that possible to include that as part of the development?
That would be a Robin question, best answered by him, but I believe so.
Yes. So, yeah, and there's a couple different ways to do that. I mean, you can say only these uses are permitted. You can say only these uses are not permitted. You can do both. There's multiple ways to construct that within the text.
Yeah, or, like I said, and I'm sure there's other items people might want limited, like big box stores and things of that nature. By opening it to commercial, we don't want it to become like 23 Columbus Pike. I have no problem with mixed use, but I like mixed use, especially in this locale, to be a neighborhood mixed use.
And to clarify, because this is a plan district and because they are submitting a development plan which shows buildings, they would, you know, if it's approved with this version, they would be required to build those buildings in those configurations. Now, that means that if you could fit a truck stop into the buildings that they have shown, which I think is unlikely, then they could do it. But the point is, they could do it. But they could not lay it out as a gas station with gas pumps and do it the way it's currently constructed. But there is a way to more narrowly tailor those uses.
And so my other comment there was sort of that you have all these buildings, but they're not really sort of labeled on the site plan, which Robin has already brought up, but it's not also labeled clearly the ones that are mixed use, how that mixed use is going to be designated. I know it's a 3-story building. I have an idea of the footprint, but we don't have the actual square footage, and we don't know, is that all going to be, 95% commercial, 5% residential? I'm assuming that the first floor will be mixed use, like you say, and the upper floors will be residential, but that is not clearly laid out in your plan, so you could easily, I hate to say, have one of those be 85, 95% big box. It's not. And the other concern I have is, you have a lovely green space, a quad between, I guess it's buildings 3A, 3B, 4A, or 4B or something like that. And we know those are mixed use. We have, I guess it's, that'd be 3, and then the ones to the rear where the townhouses and the condos are, we know those are residential, and yet they have a sea of parking back there.
That's the east, which have the railroad on it.
Exactly. So all of a sudden, if I'm gonna live in one of those condos, townhouses, whatever, I'm surrounded by the railroad track
And retail parking.
and retail parking.
Interesting. Good catch.
I'm sorry.
No, that's great. I encourage that communication. I think, just looking at it, might be one where we can just flip those, shove more of that parking towards the front, and then put more of the residential
Yeah,
there.
so that is sort of, since I'm going down my list of stuff, unless someone else in the
I have just one.
commission wants to chime in.
Yeah, one more thing is not enough parking. I know, as Dennis mentioned, I think your calculation showed 222 for residential,
I
whereas,
think it was 336.
yeah, 336 overall total. But just the residential parking calculated by Robin seems to be 274 or something. And,
Something.
222.
yeah, 222, whereas your overall parking is very close to that number, right? 274?
Yeah, so the total provided spaces was 274.
Yeah. So, is there any commercial parking there?
Yes, there is. And so this is based on the feedback last time, and I think we're trying to find the happy medium that's, the Goldilocks zone, just enough, not too much and not too little. One of the things that we're responding to is the relationship of the existing building or zoning code, which is the 386, and the proposed, which is a little more lenient for residential parking, which drops it from 3 to 2. And so that seems like a reasonable divergence to request, which gets us roughly down to the 336. There's another aspect, and correct me if I'm wrong, Robin, I'm sorry if I mess this up, is I think in the zoning ordinance it calls for a potential of up to 15% reduction in parking if you have mixed use that changes throughout the day. So if we have some commercial use that would be used by the community, or somebody's coming in from outside the development during the day when some of the residents are at work. And so if we take the 336 and times that by 15, I don't think it gets us to our 270. but it gets us in that ballpark. And it, you know, if the commission decides, let's be strict and adhere to that as a reasonable divergence request, I think we can make that happen.
What is the restaurant seating capacity there?
I'm sorry?
The restaurant seating capacity? I mean, you can,
So we don't have that number. I can give you a ballpark based on square footage counts, but around 100.
yeah, the point I'm trying to drive here is 100 seating capacity leads to at least 50 cars. Now, I don't think, so if you go down to downtown Columbus, to one of these brewery areas, the parking is extremely difficult. And residents around that place often get problems with some of the cars blocking their driveways. And that potentially is a problem here. So
Yeah,
I think, yeah,
I'm sorry.
I think parking is a solution you have to find here because you have a restaurant here, you have commercial uses that are not just in the daytime.
And that was what I was gonna say. I like shared parking. I think it's a great idea. And it works great if you're office and residential, because generally people leave to go to the office. The office people can take their spots. It might be a little tight at the transition period, but it will work. The concern is if you have uses like a restaurant or something like that, that isn't limited, but will both have both nighttime uses or both maybe lunchtime or whatever, you know, where there's an overlap with that parking, is where it can get tight. And we certainly don't want something like this to impact the neighbors in the community.
And especially when it comes to the commercial, the one which is facing on the west. So there is going to be some trucks. Like with the current parkings, like whatever figure you have given me, I don't see a double parking, like a double row where the two cars fits a regular truck size. I don't see that here. So I have no idea if a truck, if given a commercial building, will have a truck traffic. I don't see a proper parking spot for that at all.
Understood, and that's a great comment. It's something we've tried to address, and I think maybe next time we can either increase that amount of loading area or more clearly indicate it. We do have a loading zone located next to what would be the retail and the residential, but again, it's not large enough for a full semi-truck, so it would be required of the operations team of the restaurant to let their delivery truck know that that's the case. Oftentimes, you will see them park in the road, and one of the advantages of this development, though, is at least we have two ins and outs. So if you do see a truck that's blocking a way in or out, they can go the other way. However, if that's not acceptable, we're happy to amend this site plan to ensure that that does not disrupt traffic. I think one of the comments about the restaurant parking could potentially be solved by, one, increasing the parking. I think that's become pretty clear in this conversation that we're not quite there yet. But two, in strategizing maybe where the parking is, and if we maybe do mirror the sea of parking in the rear and flip it up to the front, that will at least provide that larger parking area more closely to that larger restaurant space. And maybe it's also about reducing the size of that restaurant. Maybe we get it down to a smaller capacity by 20 or 30%, which would lessen the parking load, and that might be something we could do as well.
Can we go back to that, I think it was the parking calculation there again? So, right now for the office, you have, is it one per, yeah, thank you.
29 space.
So, yeah, so 29 spaces, and back to your transition kind of story, even for the restaurant story, if the office people are gone and the restaurant is busy at night, so to speak, then we're accounting for 59 spaces there, and you were looking for 50, at least in the evening. Perhaps people are ghosts in the day because they went to work, we got some folk come in there, hang out, maybe the restaurant is open. Seems like there's sufficient parking there just based on that transition story you spoke of. So, I don't know if it's necessary, to try to add more spaces or anything like that. I'm similar to that thought of I don't want a bunch of concrete or asphalt everywhere. Prefer to have some green space more than anything else. All I'm saying is I think that the transition in time is probably sufficient. There may be some challenges on a Saturday or Sunday maybe, but, well, the office people will be ghosts on Saturday and Sunday theoretically, yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm not overly challenged by your parking story, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
So the other option also could be is, I made notes that right now you have 74 residential units. And like I said, I'm not quite sure how they're divided out among all these buildings, if that would be helpful.
Okay.
But, and Robin, this is also for you, correct me if I'm wrong, this is a little over 9 acres. I believe our current zoning code for multifamily has 4 units per acre.
That is correct.
Okay, so that would be basically, if this was considered a multifamily unit for what we consider apartments, you would be allowed to have 36, 37 units. You've basically doubled that.
Yeah.
Which, I understand it's mixed use and all that stuff, but we're looking at a larger density than what we would normally have for like an apartment complex. I was just gonna throw that out there because of, we have all this commercial, potential restaurant use, a community building, which I think all these uses are great. And, neighborhood residential, commercial use, and apartments or condos or however they're gonna be, townhouses. It's a lot going on in a 9-acre site.
Gotcha. Yeah, you're not wrong.
Just to follow up on that, if there are 72 units, 74 units,
74 units.
what is the average size of these apartments?
So we have a mixture of 2 bedrooms and 3 bedrooms. Do you know the size breakdown? You don't have it anywhere, the plans? So I think it's with 1,050 for the 2 bedrooms and 1,050 for the 2 bedrooms, 1,250 for the 3 bedrooms. But I might be off by 50 or 100 there, and we'll make sure in any revised application we include all that information, including properly labeling the buildings which are mixed use and which are residential.
And,
Oh, go ahead.
and the townhomes are all 3-bedroom?
Yes, those are the 3 bedrooms, yeah. So it's 1,250 to 1,400, I believe. I'll
And
get
how,
back to you on the exact number. I'm sorry.
For Evans Farms, what's I presume the density was just based on the entire space, not necessarily where their apartments and the commercial and all that stuff is located right at the front, which
Yeah,
clearly appears to be.
Evans Farm is a difficult
Yeah.
comparison because it's
Yeah.
divided into plain
Yeah.
commercial and then single family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
density
Too many
is actually,
areas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a total
It's
unit
not gonna
cap
fit
rather
into
than a per acre requirement.
Yeah, what I'm looking at is just where the commercial and the mixed use and the apartments and all of that stuff is located right there, kind of the entrance there looks,
I do
to
not
me,
know that
that's
off
why
the
I'm
top of
saying
my
it.
head.
Yeah, no. I was looking for some kind of comparison for that, because I kind of see this as like that entrance, so to speak, and if, again, complementary to what's around the corner, relatively speaking, it seems like that would be a thing that would dance, so
Yeah.
that's all I'm saying.
Talking about that main entrance from the road,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
adding to your point,
Yeah.
if you see the Evans Farm,
Yeah.
there is a quite amount of distance from the main road to the entrance and to the resident, wherever the building starts. Like from the signal,
Mm-hmm.
if you could see this plan, this starts right there from the North Road entrance,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
which leads to the commercial building, if you could see the plan.
Yeah.
So that's kind of very close to the road facing west and very close to the east when it comes to the back of the residential condos, the railroad near that.
Yeah.
So both the areas, it's very tight.
Yeah, I mean, again, I just look at that entrance in the commercial is right there, and then the other stuff. That's why, again, I think it's complementary to what's around the corner, and at the end of the day, there's gonna be additional building going on there in that area, so it makes sense. Okay.
May I address a couple of those comments? First, I'd like to address a little bit about the commercial. So I have the 2017 zoning map in there, so I apologize for that. It has been updated. But I think the intent of that image remains the same with the new zoning map that I have up here. So I just wanted to highlight that there is precedent for commercial in this area. And Robin, I don't know if you're able to pull up the current zoning map to we could reference that. And maybe while you're doing that, I'll pivot to address the other comment about the height of the building, relationships to Evans Farms, being complementary of that, is that this is within the zoning ordinance. I mean, there's less than 35-foot tall buildings, and we are actually farther back than the front setback is requiring. We have the front setback, then we have the water retention pond. We don't have parking, visible from North Road. It is a best practice development and does not violate, and we're not requesting any divergences for that, for setback and building height. With that. With regard to this, Robin, if you don't mind, maybe just zooming out to the whole zoning map. There is clearly a defined zone of development that has happened in this area, which is between the railroad and 23, which is predominantly industrial use and commercial use. I think industrial is purple, commercial is red. You see that going up. Moreover, this is also where a lot of the multifamily spaces happen as well. So there is precedent in this zone for it. I understand it hasn't passed much farther north than Lewis Center, but even along Lewis Center and North Road in the railroad tracks, we have very strong precedent for commercial in that area. And we're not, we're trying to be representative of the fact that this is a pretty predominant development in this area. It's not, on the north side of Shannon Road where it is all single family. And I think if one were to look at the aerial of this, of the nearby area, and I think this will be some of the comments that'll happen from the public as well, is it's not befitting with the nearby or surrounding areas, which is the term used by the Regional Planning Commission. I'm not so sure. So within a 1,500-foot radius, and yes, that's arbitrary, but that's about the line of sight and walkable distance in a short few minutes. I'm counting roughly 25 single-family detached homes in that area. We have a multi-family. They are single-family attached homes, just 2 sites down of us. And if you look at the aerial of that, and this is not the Google Maps, it shows that you see the roads there. It is incredibly dense. If you look at that, it is roofs everywhere for that development, and there's no green space, and we're providing a lot of green space. To the west, we have a large parking lot, and then we have a very large school within that same distance. So I think that there, and then of course to the east, we talk about Evans Farm. So I do think that we are within reason adhering to the development pattern of the surrounding neighborhood. Like I said, if this was north of Shanahan Road, then I could understand a little bit more of this. But I think it's a fair and reasonable development given those development patterns.
I think well said.
Thank you.
I agree.
Yeah, like I said, I think the 35 building height max is great. I don't have a problem with the mixed uses. I don't have a problem, most part with shared parking, just maybe tweaking those. One thing I did notice that your traffic study, which requires those extra turn lanes and everything, was done in the middle of the summer when school is out. And North Road, if I remember correctly, sees a lot of traffic, and same with Lewis Center because of the schools between Lewis Center and Shanahan, and North Road, and I forget the name of the road by the Kroger, that also leads by the schools. They see a lot of traffic when schools get out. And that's the one thing I noted, is that the traffic study didn't take into account that it was done in June, not, September or October, when everybody's going back and forth for either the school or after school activities, sports, what have you. or, any sort of teams that might be playing at the North Orange Park as well in terms of youth club sports. So that has me a little concerned as well, that we're not looking at the full picture of what might happen here.
Yeah, I appreciate that comment, and yeah, as you can imagine, that was out of necessity.
Yes.
So it was summer. I do believe they run the traffic counts during the summer, and then they compare that with other counts that have been done and their calculations during school seasons, and then that is what feeds into the recommendations.
Okay.
So I do believe they're being considered, but the counts will not show.
Okay.
But, I'm happy to see if we can communicate with them and get them to update.
Yeah,
that.
because I noticed they had like, the 5-year, 10-year projections, which are great, but I wasn't sure if they also had sort of like off-season versus prime season calculations.
Friday night football games?
I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, I agree.
For those of us who live in the area, we all experience that. Does the commission have any other questions for the applicant, or?
Given the amount of information that is lacking, do you think you want to go ahead, or you want to resubmit with some of the information that?
Well, generally, I would defer that to the commission, but based on my experience with these, I'm guessing that you are going to recommend we tidy up some of the missing information for this, include some of the information in particular with square footage counts for units and residential and retail breakdowns, as this becomes part of the development plan and is sort of locked in. I think you'd like to have that information. So my guess is that we will go back and revise some of this and possibly take into account some of the more prudent comments about parking and flipping. And so I'm anticipating a continuation.
Yeah, I'd like to see that before we do that, but I'd also like to hear from the
Sure.
community so that you can take any consideration, take into consideration any comments or thoughts they may have. And then on the next time, if the commission approves, that you'll be able to address what you heard from the community, what you heard from us, and then go from there. And I'm assuming that, I'm assuming that I'm trying to diplomatically figure out how to say that, because I know that we've heard differences of opinion here, but definitely would want to see the revisions.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, if that's it for the commission,
We can open for the
I would like to open the meeting to public comment. So remember, please state your name and address. This is for the public record. Make sure your comments obviously are relevant to this proposal, and that, if you have a similar comment to your neighbor, just, please keep it short and sweet, because we have several people, it's like about 20 in the room, that would like to speak. So at this point, it is open to public comment. Please stand up, come to the front. Like I said, name and address. Yep, yeah, to come to the podium.
Yes.
And again, that we'd like to be it on public record, because the township trustees will review what's going on here at our
My
meetings.
name is Thomas Hutt. I live on 1317 Short Street, the property that's backing up against what you guys want to build. We're good? Two questions.
Sir, I'm sorry, can you please address the commission, and then the commission will
Two
have
questions.
questions answered.
Okay.
Have you ever had a development built in front of your house?
So if you could please provide your commissions to the question, and
Yeah,
then we'll
and,
respond, so
and
that
not,
there's not back and forth.
your question, I believe the term is rhetorical.
Yeah.
Please stick to the applicant and,
It's the dirt and everything else that comes up from when they develop these places. For 2 years at Evans Farms in front of us, right there at the corner of Lewis Center North Road, the dirt was unreal. I came down here and asked the township to come help me. Guy came over, I showed him still photos of the dirt storms that were coming. He said he had to have videos. All I wanted is a water truck to spray the dirt to keep the dust down. The inside of my house was peppered. And the next one, I'll short list, I'll just run down. Apartments don't fit in Orange Township on Lewis Center, North Road. What about when the leaves are all gone in the fall and there's lights from your apartments and your businesses back there filter through the trees in my backyard? I have a nice woods back there. Trash from the parking lots. I'm sure everybody's lived in an apartment once in their life. What do you see in the parking lots? Trash from where people throw it out of their cars. On the ground. I don't want it blowing on my property back there. I own 2 acres back there. The noise, cars, people. I mean, North Road's already burdened bad enough as it is. And you were talking about the traffic. North Road, when school lets out and there's a train over there, those buses back up a half a mile up North Road. We can't get out of Short Street. It's impossible unless somebody opens up a hole, creates a hole. Let's see here. We've got, I don't know if you guys know it, but there's an underground water table on the field that you guys want to build on. And I can reinforce that with the people that used to live there. The house has been long since wiped out. The guy blamed me for throwing 10,000 pounds of rocks down this sinkhole. It backed up the water, it flooded his house. He came over and pointed the finger at me. It wasn't me. It was the guy that bought the frontage. So there's an underground water table. Let's see. Do you guys know that was an Indian mound back there? I found hundreds of Indian arrowheads and artifacts back there. Now, I'm not saying this to discourage, but I'm just saying, this is part of this neighborhood where you guys want to dig. And the last one you guys brought up was the noise from the dumpsters and the restaurants and the truck noise. I drive a truck, I work in an area where the dumpsters get dumped. Even the school, I hear them at 5 o'clock in the morning over there. Boom! I don't know if anybody lives close by there, but you hear it. I really want to hear that in my backyard. That's all I got.
Thank you for your comments. If you want to, any other, come up to the podium. Again, state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Jay Thar. I live on 5740 Somersworth Loop, Lewis Center, 43035. It's the North Farms neighborhood. I want to state that I hope that you reject this, because first of all, this is a clear example of, we can see, corporate greed over here, because this is like a farmland or single family, where now they are putting not just multifamily, which was opposed by everyone in that neighborhood a few years back, and now it's commercial on top of multifamily and mixed use. This is like a slap on our face that what's going on over here. This is where my kids, my daughter, she literally goes that in the north part, she crosses the road to go to the other neighborhoods and all those. If commercial or if the commercial trucks enter over here, it's going to be a safety hazard. There's, I don't know if this is being approved by the city as well, the township, because when there is commercial, there should be more policing. The crime always increases. So is that also being considered over here? So apart from that, the roads and the infrastructure we already discussed, it's not supporting. The utilities, we have had so many power cuts in our neighborhood with AEP not able to bear the load of it. They may say we can bear it, but we are experiencing the power cuts from AEP. So there are so many reasons for this to be rejected. I can keep on saying, but I have to go and pick up my daughter right now. She's waiting for me at the school. So I have to go, but I reject this.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Hey everybody, Paul Tapp, 1385 Franklin Street, 43035. The rezoning to planned commercial with the divergence for residential that seems like a big change. It says right there in the code, residential is not allowed in planned commercial. we just strike it out. It's kind of glossing over a really important thing that we don't live in a commercial district. And the commission stated the density is significantly more than what's defined in the actual multifamily areas, right? So we have the multifamily area defined where multifamilies live, and the commercial space where people don't live. We're choosing commercial, but then breaking the rules of multifamily, and that doesn't make sense to me. There's a lot of discussion on parking. I don't care. I know we can find a place to fit 300 cars on a 9-acre lot. I'm worried about where those cars go when they leave on North Road. You know, I drive back and forth to school to drop my kids off on North Road every day. There's no one on it in the summer. Everyone's on it in the school year. The land use plan and the districts are not just the individual properties. It's the neighboring properties and the infrastructure around it too. And this really feels like trying to fit as much as possible into a space that's just too small for it. I'd love to see this blown up into twice as much space in a different area. It's beautiful, love the designs, but it doesn't fit where it is. It's gonna be so out of place on North Road around everything else there. It doesn't look or feel right in that space. I also wonder, what do the condos look like inside? I see the basic outline. I'd like to know the target price range. I'd like to know who do we imagine living there? Why are they living there instead of other places? And does anything stop someone from buying 2 condos, knocking the wall down, and turning a residential space into another commercial space? And I'm not hearing anything that makes me feel like this is solving a problem in our community, or providing something that's not already done somewhere else. And it is already being done all over the place, and I don't know who's asking for this. And I wonder if there's surveys or data to support that there is a desire to have these communities around. I haven't seen one. So there's a lot of things coming up here about the divergence and parking and building height setbacks, lighting, Delaware County, what's your vision of the plan? It's all solved by just using that space for what it's intended for in the township's own comprehensive land use plan, which is single-family homes. Build great ones, get great neighbors. I'm excited for it, but this is not right for that.
Thank you. It looks like we have a couple other members of the public who would like to come up and speak.
Hi, Katie Cavote, 959 Lewis Center Road. I would like to echo what the gentleman before me said, and I will keep my statement brief as we spoke in the original meeting a month ago. We are still very against this property as well. My biggest concerns are the density. We've all called that out. The fact that the Delaware Regional Planning Committee, or whatever it's called, has recommended that this plan be denied. Single family is what's on the comprehensive plan, and again, if we open up the commercial, what's next? What other 5 acres is going to happen? There's plenty of property still around, so the concern is that we're opening the floodgates and we are destroying what we want as a community. And just a comment as well, North Road between Shanahan and Lewis Center Road is all residential. There is nothing commercial there. There's plenty of commercial opportunities down the street. Green Meadows is now opened up. There's plenty of areas to the north. There's plenty of areas still within Evans Farm that's not even partially full. So how are they actually going to be able to pull in those tenants as well when Evans Farm has plenty of capacity and cannot even keep vendor or commercial property there? So those are some of my concerns. And again, I echo everything that my neighbors have done, that we are against this.
Thank you for your comments.
We come as a team. I'm Ashley Hunn. I live at 5959 North Road, right next to this proposed project.
Andrew Hunt, 5959 North Road.
Hi. So we have 2 beautiful kids. I don't want to cry. I can't. Why don't you go first?
Okay, that's what does me first. I just want to echo maybe some feedback that was mentioned at the last meeting and then maybe not followed through with on this meeting. One of the concerns from last meeting was that there was no idea as to like whether these units, the proposed residential units in this development, were going to be rentable or for sale, for purchase with a mortgage. That has not been clarified whatsoever. Another item that came up is in terms of like the parking calculations. I know that there are calculations based on the commercial square footage. However, there is no mention of how many commercial spaces would actually be occupying that total square footage. So we don't know if we're getting, you know, as you mentioned, one large shop or 20 small flower shops, which is a big problem in terms of not just calculating parking, but in terms of driving traffic to the area, et cetera. Another thing that was mentioned in the last meeting by me is that if there are problems with the parking situation, the overflow parking is going to go across the street to Orange Road Park. And the last thing that they need over there is to have to account for a development that they were not planning on because they already have the amount of spaces that they need. And actually, I know one of my neighbors is here that lives right next to the park. In the height of soccer season, they do not have enough spaces, okay? So on weekends in the fall, there will not be enough parking at Orange Road Park for the soccer games, let alone for overflow from a development across the street, which is a huge, a major problem, which I don't know if that's been, you know, taken into account in the traffic study or not. But when, in terms of averages, you know, we talk about average traffic in time of year, I don't know that that can be accounted for. I'm trying to think, I made a few notes. My wife made way more than I did.
I wrote a lot of notes. I just have to not be so emotional. I'm sorry.
The last thing I just want to say is that I was pleased to see that the regional planning committee said that it was too dense of a development. I think that almost everything that we are saying, almost everything, is because it is too dense, right? Like the parking problems, the commercial, all of the restaurant, how many clients are going to be in these places during the day. It's because of the density. And so I don't know that going back and revising a development plan has any effect on, I mean, I give you credit. The revisions are good. I am glad that we have spruce trees on the south side now. It's not a fence, but it's as good as a fence, right? Depending on, you know, the size and maturity, et cetera, et cetera. But the problem is not just the effects that we're speaking about. The problem is the actual density of the issue. And I don't know that that gets changed by taking the individual symptoms and commentary from us and from the board into account and then making a further revision. Because that doesn't address the problem, which is that this just does not fit the area that you're trying to cram it all into. It's 9 acres, we're not talking about 1,400 at Evans Farm, you know, and so that's a major issue in my eyes.
Do you have those pictures that you could put out?
Yeah, Philip, do you have the zoning map?
And the one thing too, I started a change.org petition just about some of the things that I think are incompatible with our neighborhood. And when you look at this, I think about a neighborhood as, you know, the opportunity to walk to things, right? And so in our area, although this one property that's before Short Road, and if you look at, I don't know if it can be blown up, but where the N is for North Road, that's our property right there. So, yep, and then where like the OR is where this property proposed changes are being discussed, right? So our property's at the end, and like, so anywhere we can walk to right now are all residential areas. And where the red is that shows that commercial, it's apartments that are rented, right? It's not businesses, it's apartments, right? So there are no businesses on all of North Road from Short Street to Shanahan. It is all members of our community here that live here in single-family homes. Well, that and the red over there, there's a church, and then where our kids went to preschool, and then there's the apartments. So like, you know, everything is really compatible. And then when 7 years ago we moved into this home, the park had not yet been developed, and the realtor said, what would you like it to be? You know, if you were gonna buy this house, because I'm very against very dense areas. We moved from Upper Arlington to Lewis Center to get to a more open area, right? We bought 4 acres of land, right? I shouldn't have moved from Upper Arlington.
Well, I mean, it's not gonna get less dense. There's 30,000 people in Orange Township,
Right.
and we're not a city.
Well, totally, but we did buy more land, right? So, in my property, we have 4 acres, and so I bought that to do that, right? And then I know that the group of people were really recommending denial of this project, and I think it's because the proposed plan shows that it should be single-family homes. So I think that I would just like to be in line with what is being proposed, and I support that, of single-family homes. But in the change.org, letter that I wrote to members of the Orange Township Zoning Board, I just said that, just to have this on record, the first thing is I do believe that it's a violation of zoning intent, and it sets a dangerous precedent approving a high-density mixed-use project in a residential agricultural zone. It also fundamentally undermines the purpose of zoning. To maintain predictable, compatible land uses and protect the character of our neighborhoods. I think that this is completely out of character for our side of the tracks, right? On the other side of the tracks, Evans Farms is there, but this is our side. Granting this variance could open the door to spot zoning and discourage public trust in future land use planning. The second is incompatibility with neighborhood character, a 3-story mixed-use structure. There are no other 3-story mixed-use structures on North Road from Short Street to Shanahan. Is out of scale and character with the surrounding single-family homes and green space. The third is the increased traffic, so I echo that. Fifth, I do have a concern for the potential decrease in property values. The gentleman mentioned that there are about 25 homes around the area. Well, when you're one of them, that concerns me, and it concerns me for that purpose. I do believe it's a circumvention of proper planning processes. I think that if higher density or mixed use developments are being considered, it should be done with a lot more transparency, with full community engagement. I think our neighbors all say that this is not something we want. And then the environmental drainage concerns, I do have those concerns. We see those streams flow when there isn't soybeans on them, and it's, we see the water flow. And we know that those pathways and that water comes onto our property through streams, and we have a pond on our property. So I would be concerned about that. So I urge the zoning board to uphold the intent and integrity of the zoning code and reject this request for rezoning agricultural land to anything else other than maybe single-family homes. I just want it to be appropriate with this community, and so I hope that respectfully we can accomplish that. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anybody else? Again, name, address.
Name's Matt Everly, I live at 6,000 North Road. I live right next to the park by the pond. Just want to say ditto to everything excellent what you just said. I can't top that, so I'm not a speaker like she is. So, but I do want to at least give my 2 cents. Like I said, I moved out to Lewis Center also. I got 2 acres. Most of the people I know around me live on like 1 acre. I mean, we want that feel of that, not everything coming around us. So my concern is all the rentals too. Like, what do you get with rental people? They don't take care of their properties like we do. We invest in our property, maintain it. Rental people don't do that. My concern is the noise also. Right now, I do want to bring something to your attention I was going to do later, but now's a good time to bring it to your attention. The park right next door, I've been starting to call the cops because I've got my phone back. I can show you evidence. I got people in there doing burnouts in their cars in the middle of the night, excuse my language. I've got people in there playing pickleball at 10:30 to 12 o'clock at night with the car light shining across the pickleball courts to play at night. I live right next door. My windows are open, enjoy the weather, and all you hear is that damn people out there, kids carrying on, pickleball. So I called the cops several times, and they said there's no, I know I'm getting off topic, but this is back to the noise thing. There's going to be more traffic coming and going. There needs to be dusk to dawn restrictions on that park, or close the damn thing at night. Same thing with the dumpster, like a guy on Short Road said he heard the dumpsters. I live even closer, he's on Short Road, I live right next to the school. I hear that thing every clock, 5 o'clock in the morning. Bang, bang, dumping the dumpsters. They not do that like in the afternoon, in the evening? I mean, why at 5 o'clock in the freaking morning when people are still sleeping? I mean, damn, anyway, that's it.
Thanks. Thank you. Is there anybody else that, okay?
Hi, I'm Preston Page. I live on Short Street, neighbors with Tom and John, who left here. He spoke earlier, but I agree with everything that was said before. It sets a bad precedence, this high-density area. If this comes, there's lots of empty plots on North Road. Who's to say that more aren't gonna try to, you know, get their plans approved for the same type of stuff? I think the Evans Farm Development does a fine enough job of bringing businesses and extra living spaces to the area as it is. And my main concerns, aside from everything that I agree on that our community has said, that is the environmental impact. That field is, you know, a safe haven for all sorts of field mice, rabbits. I see deer go graze through that area every night. Once the development starts, where are they all gonna go? They're gonna go either north or toward Short Street. So, and I also agree with the light problems. Jennings Sports Park has their big ballpark lights on at all hours of the night, somewhat late in the night too, for my liking, but more light pollution is something that I am not in agreement with, and I think everybody would back that opinion also. But yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Does the applicant have any comments they'd like to make? Oh,
Yes.
looks like we have one more, or are you done? Okay. So if you'd like to go ahead, state your name, although, for the record.
Matthew Teisman, MKC Architects, 6611 Hillmar Court, Westerville, Ohio. I appreciate everyone's comments here today, and I understand these are genuine concerns. So I'm not ignorant of that, and what we're trying to do is to find a development that enriches the community, but also does not adversely affect neighbors in a way that wouldn't be standard for future development. I will say I've read the petition, and it's a very well thought out and organized petition, and your comments I think reflect some comments we've heard tonight, and so thank you for that. Generally speaking, you know, I'll address most of these items by the public were brought up that were also mentioned in the petition. So I think it might just be prudent just to address some of those. The first comment was, you know, violation of zoning intent and dangerous precedent. And, you know, I think I've already addressed it. While we are requesting a rezoning of the land, I think that there is some precedent for that for the site. And I've already talked about that ad nauseum. Item number 2, we talk about just the neighborhood character of that a 3-story mixed-use structure is out of scale and character. I tried to preemptively address that when I talked about really what's around the neighborhood. We've tried to incorporate residential scale townhomes, walk-up access, and landscape community areas. It's something we don't have. And this should help blend within the surrounding neighborhood. We're trying to set these back. We've broken up the massing to create a walkable environment, you know, that respects this. And again, I'll reiterate, you know, this is within the zoning ordinance, that the 35-foot height limit, and we're exceeding the setback from the front. So again, we're trying to adhere to best practice for that. Certainly understand the traffic concerns. That is a concern we're going to have in the area regardless, you know, it already happens, regardless of development. I understand the development will increase traffic on the road. That being said, one of the advantages of the development is that we would include the pedestrian light or button activated lighted pathway to cross North Road at this location. So there is at least an increased safety aspect with that regard, and we're trying to be mindful of that. With regard to noise and lighting disruption, I completely understand that. You know, this will be addressed in a further iteration of the size and scale and quantity and type of the retail is intended to be small scale and neighborhood focused, not large commercial. Lighting will meet or actually exceed township standards. With downshielding, we're going to actually have shorter poles than what are allowed in the zoning ordinance to, again, try to ameliorate some of those concerns. And moreover, you know, with the pickleball if we refer to the plan, we've really nestled those pickleball courts in between buildings, so that any lighting and potential noise from that will at least be reduced, if not eliminated. And one other idea, which I know I've seen in other townships, is we could restrict hours for this. So, potentially the restaurant must be shut down by 9 p.m. or whatever time we feel is appropriate, and that pickleball, once the sun goes down, we don't allow outdoor pickleball. I think those are concessions that we would like to make to help, embrace us as a community neighbor with it. A few other items. Yes, generally we feel mixed-use developments, or let me rephrase that, standard apartment complexes that are ubiquitous in some areas of Delaware County can reduce property values. Generally, research shows that well-designed mixed-use developments tend to increase nearby property values because it adds amenities, walkability, and overall neighborhood vibrancy. I understand people might not agree with me on that. One may look at the sale value of the condos and some of the residences at Evan Farms. I think they're exceeding $1 million at this point. But again, I think there is some precedent for that. And I feel like I addressed most of the comments, and I don't want to speak any longer than I need to. People are tired of my voice, but I would just like to mention just about the environmental impact. We absolutely understand that there are a lot of guidelines that are required that we need to follow for this. So just for clarity, stormwater will be fully managed on site through modern drainage and retention systems that will ensure that there is no impact whatsoever on any drainage offsite and no impact on the quality of water for that. Moreover, we are providing an abundance of landscaping and green space. While we might not have lots of wildlife running around the yard, we have very extensive buffers around the property with, I think it's 200 plus, 227 or something plus trees on the site that'll create new habitats for other animals that can't currently reside in open farmland. So I feel like there's some give there as well. But again, I would like to thank the community for coming out and speaking today, and also the feedback from the commissioners as well. So thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, yes, any site has to comply with the county storm. They will guarantee or make sure that the water is properly taken care of. You also have to consult with the Ohio EPA to make sure that the water and the wildlife is properly taken care of. So it's not just, devastating the site. The county is responsible for stormwater runoff and environmental issues, not zoning compliance. All right, so we've heard all, public. Come up, just because I'm feeling generous, but make it short.
I appreciate the explanation. Paul Tapp, 1385 Franklin Street. I appreciate the explanation. I still didn't hear rough price of the units or whether they're going to be rentals or for sale. I think that is a really important thing to what we've heard tonight from people. I think we need an answer on that.
Okay, so I can comment that technically rental versus condo is a form of ownership. It's not zoning. You can have a single-family house that's a rental unit. You can have a multifamily property that is owned, that is a condo. So technically, we look at land use, not ownership. I do hear your concern, but technically that is not in our purview.
Yeah.
Understood. It won't impact your decision. It would be helpful for us to hear.
Okay, thank you. So now I'm going to discuss with the commission, and at a certain point, an applicant as well. It seems to me that a lot of the comments we hear have to do with the density and the perhaps intensity of use of this site, with the mixed use, the commercial, the office, the parking, the number of units, things of that nature. And Robin, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong at any time if I go astray. There are two options before us. It would be, one would be to vote on the application the way it stands now, or to table it and have the applicant come back. My concern with tabling it and having the applicant come back is I am not sure that how to fit all your programming that you want into this site. And so that's when I want to look to my commission members to see how they feel about this.
I'm already a solid no, it doesn't matter.
Okay, all
Doesn't
right.
matter what else you can work out.
Okay, I also,
I didn't hear that, I'm
oh,
sorry.
he,
Well, I already told you originally, just
Yeah.
because the
We can have a
comprehensive,
private time.
plan, and the density of this, it's a great plan, great design, guys, but wrong area.
yeah, so I understand Lisa wants to have a private time. Are we allowed to do that, or, and have like a brief concurrence among the commission what the next step should be? Or should we have to,
That has to be public.
So,
has to be public?
yeah, so the commission must make all deliberations in public. If the commission wishes to give the applicant team a 5-minute recess to plan their next move, then you are welcome to do that.
Okay, so then I will go before the applicant, because we have the choice of either tabling with the hopes that you can try to resolve some of these issues, or have a vote.
Well, I mean, shouldn't we hear from the rest of the commission too on what their thoughts are so that they can take that in consideration?
We can
Would
do
you
that.
agree?
Yeah, if the commission wants to do that, yes.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
you know, they are asking for a change. And at the end of the day, similar to what I've already said, which is, you know, within the area, it's good. I mean, I recognize that the community has, you know, some concerns, but development will happen. Development is going to go on. I think the applicant certainly made a good argument for within the general area some things that are going on. So I'm personally not challenged with that. I would like to see some of your, I'm not challenged with the density, but I would like to see some of the other things to be updated and presented back, whether that's parking, whether that's moving those units over or what have you. I know you are willing to reduce some of those units if that will help to relieve some of the density, but I would like to see that alternate proposal. I think at the end of the day, something will be developed there, and yeah, it calls for whatever it calls for, but at the end of the day, you know, we don't choose the place where we're going to live with the anticipation that the open space next to us will not be developed. As Dennis eloquently pointed out, you know, the township is growing, people need somewhere to live, and, you know, people take care of the space. It's not a cheap space to live into, and so I think it's good.
I've already made my comments.
Okay. Sunitha?
Based on what I have in front of me and the petition we got, like, you know, from the people who's not here, but then we still know, like, there is so much coming from the community based on the environmental, traffic. And if we open this, like, we are gonna open for the other properties, which is like smaller, they're gonna do the same thing. That's what I'm hearing again and again. Based on that, I don't approve for this project.
Okay. So I will give the applicant 5-minute recess to, if you want.
I don't need that.
You don't need that? Okay. Well, in that case, I would say, do I have?
But am I allowed to ask to continue it?
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. You can decide if do you want to continue and table this to try to come back, or do you want us to vote?
Yes, we would like to continue and table this to address more of the comments from the community, as those were specifically called
Do
out.
you think that you will be able to
So,
address the density and intensity issues?
Yes.
Okay.
I
Our
want
plan
to,
is to come back with a reduced dense and a reduced intensity development.
Okay.
that is more in line with the density standards set forth in the multifamily and so on.
All right.
I
Now-
think there are, continuance is different from tabling.
Correct, yes.
So I want to clarify that.
Okay, so we.
Continuance is you have to set a specific
yes,
date.
Date and time.
Tabling is without a specific date, but tabling involves additional fees.
Yes, there is an additional tabling fee. So the
Yeah.
continuation is continuing
To a
this
specific
discussion to
date.
a time, date, place certain.
Certain.
That is a decision by the commission. Tabling is at the applicant's request. If the commission wanted to proceed with the vote, the applicant could request a tabling, pay an additional fee. They will come back at a later date. We will renotice and essentially start this process
Okay.
over.
Okay.
And continuance, they can still submit
Correct.
additional
Yes.
documents, yeah.
Actually, I guess, yes, I guess that is another option. Actually, Les, you can bring it up. As my colleague Les said, the other thing is we can vote.
Yes.
Whatever the decision is made will go to the township trustees, who would then also have their own vote on it as well. And then there's also no reason also why you all could not come back with another plan. So we have several options. I'm trying to figure out how to steer. My personal one, and I guess that's, now that I'm chair, I get to do this, would be based, I believe, on most of the members of the commission, unless I think you're outnumbered.
Oh, that's fine.
I would suggest we vote on it.
Well,
Are we not allowed to request?
yeah, I thought.
Unless you want to
Yeah, I
request
thought
to
we was gonna give him that
table
option.
or to continue. or-
So,
He has three options.
Yes,
Yes.
the commission has two options. You
Okay.
can vote on it, or you can continue it.
Okay.
The applicant has, one option is to request tabling.
Okay,
Okay.
Tabling or continuance?
So you can request a continuance, but if the commission is going to vote, then they're going to vote.
Okay.
You can request a tabling, essentially you're kind of temporarily withdrawing your application, there's an additional $800 tabling fee.
Yeah.
And then we would essentially start the zoning commission process.
Gotcha.
I recommend in fairness to the applicant and their desire to say, hey, we've heard you. You said that the biggest issue was density was the biggest concern. He has acknowledged that, the community said that was the issue. He's gonna go back and change that to fit the expectation. I think it'd be doing a disservice to them as members of the community to vote versus giving him a continuance to go back and make that decision, to revise. So, I mean, I'd recommend the continuance.
you want the continuous?
Yeah. Go ahead, that's fine. I mean, you can ask the rest of the crew what they think. At the end of the day, I'm one vote.
Okay, whatever you do is okay with me.
Okay, I would recommend a tabling.
No, tabling is not, is tabling one of our choices?
So tabling is a request from the applicant.
From the
Would
applicant.
the applicant
So
like?
We have two
she's
choices.
insisting she votes. She's forgetting your continuance, she's insisting we vote.
Okay, so
So
that's your
Les,
two.
she want a continuance, but she's insisting we vote, so then they have to table it to stop it,
So
to do
is-
something
And the
else.
reason
I just- I'm just asking
And the reason
her
I
to-
say
to-
that is, it looks like 4 of the members of the commission want to vote on it. In fairness to the applicant, tabling would be your,
Yeah, I think that's been very clear.
Okay.
It seems to me that that is my only option that I can specifically request as the applicant.
That is
And I think, you know, one of the comments that was here, and I appreciated, was, I'm sorry, this is important for me to find this exact one. It was in the petition. It's here. It was the very first one. No, it's about zoning. I thought it was on the second page. I'm sorry, this is important. Yes, yeah, there was comment by the commission about the petition, and Yeah, there were a lot of signatures on that. I'm sure if we request tabling this, there will be more signatures on that. I would also mention that there are 38-something thousand residents of Lewis Center as opposed at the 2023 census, so significantly more that are not signing that petition. But that being said, this item number 6 says circumvention of proper planning process. A single variant should not serve as a workaround to community-driven zoning and comprehensive planning. If higher density or mixed-use development is being considered, it should be done transparently with full community engagement in sufficient time to assess long-term impacts. Given that, I agree. And I think it would be premature if we do not pay heed to the community's comments and come back with a revised plan that fits more and more befitting of their requests and comments. So as such, as the applicant, I would like to request we table this application until we have more time to address the comments from the community. I think that will be a better plan in the long run.
I concur. So Robin, what is the official, since he has requested to table?
We have a request on the record to table the application. If the commission would like to make a motion just to officially accept the tabling, that's probably a good idea. I don't know that it's legally required, but we don't have a lawyer present, so we will do the same thing and accept the request.
All right, so can I have a motion to table application ZON-25-04 for the Bandada Technologies Corporation property?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Seconded.
Mr. McNulty?
Yes.
Mr. Bellis?
Yes.
Mr. Pierce?
Yes.
Mr. Vananula?
Yes.
Ms. Zudar?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, so the application is officially tabled. That will give the applicant an opportunity to go back, rethink the shape to address the comments made by the commission, by regional planning, and by the community.
So, and just to clarify procedure moving forward for everyone here, so when the applicant has updated plans and is ready to take their application off the table, please notify me. We at the township will provide proper hearing notice as we did for the first hearing. If anybody signed in on the sign-in sheets, if you wrote your email, we can put together an email list and notify you that way as well. So there will be at least a few weeks, for the applicant to revise, and then a few weeks to provide proper notice for the hearing.
Okay.
Thank you, commissioners. Thank you, Robin, and thank you, community, for your feedback. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Do we have any other business before the zoning commission?
You have one set of minutes for your approval. Apologies, I did not send these out very far in advance, but you have the printed draft of the minutes in front of you. If you have any corrections, or if you would like to take more time to review and approve them at your next meeting, that is your choice.
I'm okay with it. We approve them now.
Can you tell them like they're allowed to go now? Do you want to?
Oh, they can stay if they wish.
They can
Yes.
stay if you-
Oh,
They can stay. if-
okay, so yes, you
We're not
are,
kicking anybody out.
yes,
Yeah.
we're not kicking you out. You are more than welcome to leave, but
Yeah.
the discussion of the zoning application is over for the evening, or over for the indefinite future. The applicant, since they tabled it, they have an opportunity to go back, start from scratch again, and resubmit a plan, if they choose to, that is hopefully more acceptable. What was that?
More like single family home-ish.
That is up to the applicant, but it is hopefully something that is more acceptable to the community.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you for your speaking and attending the meeting. All right. So what I'm trying to do is, we only have the one set of minutes, or am I mistaken?
No, it's just one.
Just one.
It's only one.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I've had too many other things going on here.
If you want to read them, then we'll do it next time.
I think that might be better.
If you want to read them, we'll do it next time.
Yeah.
The main
Yeah,
reason
if-
I would like to read them is,
That's fine, you don't have to explain that. If you want to
Okay.
read them, we'll do it
Yeah,
next time.
yeah, good, yeah.
We don't need
Next time
a
sounds
read
good.
time for you.
Yeah.
Apologies for not.
Oh, no, you're
That's fine.
good.
Oh, you're fine. You're
Just
fine.
like to adjourn this meeting.
yes, let's adjourn and review these next time.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.